30.
Stories impacting Montrealers.
News impacting Montreal. The Elias Macco Show.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoos, All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Trudy Mason sitting in again this week for Elias Macco as his paternity leave continues. And in our Cool Jobs segment today, we are going to speak to a firefighter who had very specific training. Now, you might have heard earlier this summer about the difficult rescue that was carried out by Montreal's technical rescue team. This was after a construction worker on the West Island fell into a construction pit and was impaled by a steel rod. So the fire department had to use a ladder truck and a specialized rope system with pulleys and a rescue sled to hoist this person up to the surface and to get that person sent off to hospital. And that person did survive that terrible accident. So we're looking more closely at the training that high-angle rescue firefighters receive. Joining us now is a firefighter very well acquainted with this type of rescue because he had high-angle rescue training himself, Marc-André Gosselin, who's also working as a treasurer for the Montreal Firefighters Association these days. Busy man, Marc-André. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me this morning. It's a pleasure.
Now, what we, I think, refer to here in Montreal as the Spider-Man Squad is made up of firefighters with specialized training. Can you tell us what the training involves?
Yes, well, you have to understand that in Montreal, when you call 911, if they don't send you a police car, they're going to send you a fire truck. So we have to be specialized in all kind of rescue, and sometimes it's two kinds of rescue at the same time when you talk about the intervention we just did. So we have a specialized team. It's 3 stations in Montreal to do all of the technical rescue and high-angle rescue, Spider-Man rescue. It's one part of their training. So they really have a lot of equipment, so they can do pretty much, like you said, that time they use a ladder, so we use all of the equipment we have, including our fire truck, but we have different rope system that we can go to access blind elevator shafts on high-rise building downtown. When you talk about workers cleaning or working on the outside of the high-rise building, sometimes they get stuck with the equipment or malfunctioning. We're going to go down the high-rise with our rope to rescue those people. So on the mountain Montreal, people don't think about it. They think it's a pretty safe place, and it is if you stay on path. But when you go off the path, we have people getting injured every year on the mountain because they don't follow the path and they fell down a cliff. So we're going to go down there also with a rope. So we really can do a lot and very help Montrealers that get in trouble pretty much everywhere on the island.
And some of them who deliberately get in trouble, too, because I believe it was the Spider-Man Squad that went up on the Jacques Cartier Bridge superstructure when those protesters went up with some banners not that long ago.
Yes, it is. That's one of the Station 13 that is close to the Jacques Cartier Bridge. We do practice on Jacques Cartier Bridge to climb on it and practice our rescue over there. So, yes, we send a team for those intervention when we have people climbing on the structure of the Jacques Cartier Bridge.
I've heard it's very difficult to qualify for the specialized team. What kind of a process is it?
To get in this, it's not to get in the station. You have to apply, and like in our system of seniority to get the job. But then when you have the job, it's 6 weeks of training at our formation center, and you have to pass those training. So it's not everybody that passes, but it's still. It's good hard training, and then those specialized team, when you have the basic training, they actually train pretty much all week. They're going to try to find a different spot on the city, different kind of like they're going to redo some kind of intervention they had. So they're always you have the basic training, but it's like continue training pretty much every day to be sure that they're able to do all kind of different rescue and do them properly.
From a working point of view, what would you say is the most important attribute for a member of the Spider-Man squad? Is it to be cool under pressure? Is it to think creatively? Is it to have just the bodily strength to do this type of work?
I would say to be cool under pressure, it's the main attribute that you need as a firefighter in general. So it's one of the most important point that you need to work on as a firefighter for all kind of the tasks we're doing, not just the high angle rescue. You need to learn, and you can learn it. You need to learn to be cool under pressure to be able to do that job. Being physically strong is always good, but it's not something that is as important as the creativity of when we access those hard places to get. It's not a recipe like when you do a cake. Sometimes you have to find anchors to be able to go down your rope. It's not going to be easy. On the intervention you just talked, the guy said, okay, we can set it up with the ladder truck. Perfect. So you have to be to have a lot of creativity, because not one intervention is going to give you the same landscape to work with. So you need to create those, and that by repetition, by training in different places, you're gonna find out like new way of setting your setup safely, and then you're gonna have that in your memory when you do another rescue somewhere else, where you're gonna think, okay, I already did that once, so I can redo that because I have the same item. So yeah, I would say be cool under pressure, and the creativity of being able to find the good way to do the rescue properly and safely.
Can you tell us about a memorable time when you were able to apply your skills that you look back on with pride? There's like I said, downtown, I was able to save a couple of people out of that they were in trouble with their equipment while they were cleaning the outside of the window of the high-rise. So that would be a memorable story. But we're running just in 2025. We had 161 call for not necessarily for the high angle portion, but all of the technical rescue, because those teams do also like structural rescue, trench rescue, confined space rescue. So they're getting a call nearly every 2 days to go help somebody. When you look back, and you're still a firefighter now,
yeah.
When you compare the work you've done as a firefighter on a regular team and the training that you got in high angle rescue and the specialized, which was scarier? Were you ever scared on the job?
You end up being scared, because I think to be scared is a good thing, because it does make you more careful. So you have to be scared a little bit all of the time to be sure that you're doing your setup properly and you're assessing your risk properly to do it the most effectively and in a safety way. So yeah, most of the firefighters we're scared when we do that kind of a call, and that's what keep us from doing or being like complacent or negligent, So yeah, it's. I think I am a little bit scared when I do those kind of things when I get in a fire, and that thing it's a good thing to actually have. I'm more afraid of firefighters who's never scared.
Ooh, that's interesting. What would you say to someone who's interested in becoming a firefighter, and maybe even once they get in pursuing this high angle or other specialized rescue work? What's your best advice?
Do it. I mean, you have to apply to a firefighter school, and it's like I always said, firefighters, including the specialty team, but firefighters in general is the best job in the world when you can do it, and that's the thing. You have to be able to do it. To be like when I say, like you said earlier, to be cool under pressure. Well, it's not like you need that, and it's not everybody who's able to get that. But when you're able to do that job, it is the best in the world. So if you're trying about pursuing a career in firefighter, go do it, and you'll see if it's fit for you or not. But if you think about it and you look at the TV and think everything's cool, maybe it is for you. Go for it.
Marc-André Gosselin, thank you very much for telling us about your very cool job.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
Marc-André Gosselin, Montreal firefighter. He had high-angle rescue training, specialized rescues, and is treasurer as well for the Montreal Firefighters Association.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoo's All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Crave. The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Trudy Mason sitting in. And from time to time on the show, love to talk to people who have pivoted from their ordinary lives, their pre-lives, to an entirely new hobby, an entirely new pastime, or an entirely new career, and what brought them to the pivot point and why they chose where they eventually ended up. To that end, we welcome now to CJAD 800 a woman who had to contend with a growing interest in fostering pets, and then a job layoff, a job loss that had her thinking even bigger about going all into foster pets. We welcome to CJAD 800 Karol Tessier. Good morning.
Good morning, Trudy. Nice to speak to you.
And you. So tell us about your pre-life, your pre-pivot life. What were you doing?
I was an RFP, so request for proposals and quote specialist for medical imaging companies, Siemens and Fujifilm, for roughly 20 years, the two of them combined. And one position, the division had been abolished, so went to another company, and then that division also was given to a subcontractor. So decided to step away from the corporate world and that ball of stress that you get on the Sunday afternoon because Monday morning is coming.
Yep. I get that. And so you had already by then developed an interest in animal welfare.
I had been dog sitting, so I've always had dogs and cats, and I had been dog sitting, example, for a friend, a cousin, a neighbor, a sister of a friend type of thing, while I was working from home for those two companies. And when the layoff came, I had already purchased a home out in the country just south of Saint Lazare and had decided I've got no neighbors. Let's, up this up a little bit more. And then word of mouth just exploded, and people say to me, like, where do you put publicity? And I'm like, I don't want any publicity. I'm already full as it is. So the dog sitting, led into my, example, oh, my aunt is in a nursing home. Can you take her dog and find him a family? And then having a broad base of dog customers and people who know somebody. And then I had fostered, I had seen Bob, my one-eyed chocolate lab who was shot in the face, saw his photo from a Lebanon rescue. He was coming to Montreal, and that was in 2021. And so I decided to adopt him and then fostered roughly 12 dogs for that rescue. And then by chance met the lady for whom I foster. Brianna is her name, from Bree Cares Adoption. And we're up to 104 successfully rehomed and adopted dogs, and I'm up to my 39th dog fostered for her in 2.5 years. And there is such a crisis, a demand, which is a very sad reality of, I believe, COVID. During COVID, many people adopted a dog or a cat. Because of the situations. Not many of them were sterilized, not many of them were socialized, and now we have the COVID dogs coming and COVID cats coming back into adoption, and also their puppies and kittens. It's an outbreak at the moment. SPCA have taken in over 7,000 animals since January, and are taking between 50 to 70 animals a day. It is just a sad state, and my weakness has always been for animals. They say the more you talk to humans, the more you prefer your animals. What
about the international aspect of the scene too? Because I understand that some of the animals that you fostered are being brought into Canada from other countries where they suffered neglect or abuse.
Exactly. It started, my eyes were opened by, like I said, Bob, my chocolate lab, who was shot in the face and had to have his eye removed and still has bullet fragments a little bit all through his skull, which could not be removed. And going to the airport to pick up these dogs who were coming from situations where broken limbs, obviously they have to be fully vetted before coming into Canada. So fully treated for any types of parasites, fleas, ticks, diseases, have their rabies vaccination, and so on, health certificates. There are, this is a bit of a gray zone. There's many people that say, well, clean up your own backyard before you clean up somebody else's backyard, which I totally agree. There is a big need for local animals, but there's also a need for, international animals. The rescue for whom I foster does accept, dogs coming in from Mexico. I have 2 from the Bahamas that are my own. I have 1 from Lebanon. Many of these countries sadly see animals as pests, as or are living in very, very dire situations. Whereas here, if a dog is found homeless, quickly gets scooped up and helped and so on, and goes into the system if you wish. Whereas those countries that are lacking funds and structure, it is very, very often where animals are just, broken limbs or shot or.
Oh, I do hope we haven't lost touch with Karol. Have we lost? Oh, there she is. Karol, let me ask you this. What is the most, in terms of animals in your home, between the ones that are yours and the ones that you are fostering temporarily? How many? What's your maximum?
I don't necessarily have a maximum per se, because I have a big property. There is a vetting that is done. Obviously, the dogs must be neutered and vaccinated and healthy and social. I've fostered up to 5 at a time, and then I've dogs that, it varies. The number varies. Obviously, if I have my 7 and I've got 3 fosters, I'm starting at 10. So the number greatly varies from, 10 to 20, depending. But again, they're all great dogs. The days are totally geared towards them just having fun, playing, learning how to dog, socialize, and learning how to build confidence to be able to be reintroduced into a family environment.
I guess this is not a money-making proposition, though.
Oh, the dog sitting, I would say, is probably between a quarter or half of the salary that I was making before. And fostering is free. It's fostering, the food is provided because the rescue for whom I foster is sponsored by various pet stores. So she has free treats, free foods, and accessories. But no, this is volunteer based. Yeah, this is from the heart.
Well, bless you, Karol Tessier, and thanks very much for joining us on CJAD to tell us your story.
Thank you, Trudy, for having me.
Karol Tessier pivoted from the corporate world. Now she is a probably more than full-time pet sitter, dog sitter, and foster mother to animals. When we return, we will speak to our tech thinker, our tech whisperer, Mitch Joel, about, among other things, a religion created by an AI.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd.
And more. All your decade-defining favorites all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.
Something?
Subscribe to the Elias Macco Show podcast to catch up.
Available on iHeartRadio and wherever you get your podcasts.
We're starting to hear more from employees whose employers, these are big operations here in Canada, are using software to monitor what they're doing on the job. In some cases, even naming and shaming them by presenting each employee's metrics as gathered by these surveillance programs in meetings. Is this what productivity has now been reduced to? We'll talk to our tech whisperer, Mitch Joel, about this coming up.
Your mom told you not to talk back, but we feel very differently. In fact,
we want you to talk back and record your comment via the CJAD 800 page on the iHeartRadio app.
Another way to have your say on the voice of the community.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. Coming to get you! One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them. It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio.
I'm coming back to you.
Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
On a need-to-know basis, he's got you covered. Elias Mackos, CJAD 800.
Trudy sitting in, welcoming Mitch Joel, Executive Director of Next Era Institute and best-selling author of 6 Pixels of Separation and Control, Alt, Delete. Mitch, good morning.
Hey, Trudy, great to hear from you.
Talk to us about this story. It came to us by way of the CBC. There is some employee pushback against the employee efficiency monitoring software being used at TD Bank, but not exclusively reserved to that bank, being used in other businesses, including at Bell, which is the parent company of Bell Media, which owns CJAD 800. What is this software?
Are they tracking you, Trudy? We should have you be transparent.
You know, my daughter works in banking, and she called and asked me the same thing. Hey, you work for one of the Bell, wings, Bell Media. Are they tracking your computer use? I hope they're not, because, man, in the newsroom, we have to Google so many weird things and go to site. We're constantly getting blocked by the internal censors. We have to look on our cell phones to get certain information. When you're a news person, you're looking into all kinds of stuff. So I hope not. But would we know? Is it usually disclosed?
Yeah, so there's software like Work IQ. A lot of this started being deployed during COVID. We had people working from home and wanted people to be more connected, and this was perceived as a way to better understand who was doing what, when, and where. That led very quickly to what famed business thinker and author Dan Pink and I on my podcast both laughed at. Our favorite word at that during that crazy time was mouse jigglers. Do you remember that?
Yes,
where they
remember
had these
those.
devices where you would be able to shake your mouse so that you could look like your status was always present, even if you weren't, and all the tricks we heard around that. And now this is kind of the delta of that. We obviously have AI and other tools and technology being integrated into this. So what is essentially a tool that you would think is just a good way to better understand who is doing what, workplace monitoring, it's actually tracking a whole depth and breadth of activities. You mentioned some of them, searches, how often you're online, how long it takes you to create a document. And now what we're starting to see is kind of a shift from this, hey, isn't this a great way to look at our productivity, to becoming more of a surveillance tool. And so my frame when I see stories like this is whether companies use this technology or not, it's very important that they look at it from that lens, right? Productivity has become something that many companies can only understand now as surveillance. And, again, we've spent years now dealing with remote work and flexibility and even culture and how employees have their experiences. But now some organizations really seem to be answering what is the question of modern work with dashboards and analytics and activity scores with all this, which is not only what they measure, but why are they measuring it? Or maybe more importantly, should they be measuring this stuff?
Well, it does raise the question about micromanaging, because if you've set goals for a worker, be that daily goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, however you set the goals for the worker, do you really care what they're doing in that time, as long as they're meeting the goals that you set? Do you really want to micromanage them and say, you spend too much time writing these reports, or you spend too much time in the research phase? If they're meeting your goals, are you not supposed to allow them to go about the work however they feel they need to organize it?
Oh, Trudy, you're singing my love language from the stage when I get up there, right? So this is what happens when companies don't know how to measure outcomes or even the effort, they start measuring behavior. And now we have this technology that can really slice and dice that type of behavior. So that is exactly what you're saying. It's a management failure just disguised as technology, like, oh, this will make us more efficient. But what we know is that these tools change our behavior also, right? Because if you know you're being measured by activity, you're going to optimize for the activity. You're going to create maybe performative work. Maybe you're going to, stay online longer than you have to, mouse jiggle a little bit. Maybe you'll just join meetings. Maybe you'll just keep your Teams light green or whatever it is so that you look busy or not look busy. So there's a whole layer beyond what we're measuring and whether or not this is surveillance or productivity. And the bigger question is where you're headed, which is trust. Where is the trust in this? And do we know that this technology is providing us with a better layer, both for the employees and the management, in terms of that trust-based relationship?
Well, my daughter mentioned that she has a coworker who left a previous employer because of this type of surveillance, and came to the place where Kaylee works because it was a different philosophy in terms of setting goals and monitoring, how well an employee is meeting the goals. Because I think it as soon as you reduce a worker's autonomy to organize their work as they see fit, you're going to get
screen time. Yeah,
you're going to get unhappy workers, and they're going to go. They're going to leave.
I think there's tons of questions here too, because, what I think is an interesting angle to this story is Canada as well. We have very different labor laws in Canada than they do in Silicon Valley, and that kind of move fast and break things ideology. And so my questions when I see this are things like privacy. What are the labor laws around this? What does it mean when we say remote work? Even just the general sentiment of corporate culture and how that is transcended. So, one is that is here, and that AI connection is coming as well. So if you think about it, even like in the near future, once companies can collect enough workplace behavioral data about every single individual and everything they're asking, looking, seeing, doing, the next step may be using AI to what? Score them, compare them, predict, manage. There's like a lot of layers to this as I think about it, where I get very concerned because it takes a while usually for society to catch up to a lot of these technological innovations. And here we have two big ones. This one being productivity surveillance tools mixed now with this AI layer that's coming at the same time.
Well, speaking of AI, I really wanted to get to this topic, Mitch, but we're up against traffic. I think we'll have to leave it till next time. AI bots working with internet users, i.e. humans, seem to have generated or spawned an online spiritual movement called spiralism. I find this mind-boggling, but hopefully we'll be able to catch up on that topic with you next time.
Next week, we can talk about what happens when synthetic intimacy collides with human loneliness, and that'll be this topic.
Okay. Oh, mouth. It's going to rip my heart out. All right. Mitch Joel, thanks very much for your time, as always.
Thanks, Trudy.
Mitch Joel, Executive Director of the Next Era Institute and best-selling author of 6 Pixels of Separation and Control-Alt-Delete.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them. It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
Breaking news. Considered. The Elias Macko Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Trudy Mason sitting in for Elias, getting an update on the wildfire situation in British Columbia. The situation in a number of regions there seems quite dire. First of all, there's a state of emergency in effect for all of British Columbia at this time. The Bay Range blaze is considered especially problematic. It's in the Okanagan Valley. Several tens of thousands of people evacuated. Here with the latest details for us is Scott Hurst, CTV's national news correspondent. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Trudy.
All right. We had heard, I think this morning, reporting at least one death associated with the forest fires in BC. That one in the Okanagan Valley, particularly problematic. What are you seeing this morning?
Trudy, we've discussed so much this year the impact of this fire season and the impact it has had on communities, as there have been so many evacuation orders across the country, so many fires, particularly across the country. Right now, there are more than 100 active fires in British Columbia. Nearly half of them are considered to be still out of control, and now, tragically, police are confirming one person has died as a result of the latest fire that has sparked in British Columbia. She has been identified as a woman in her 80s, and according to Mounties, confirming this happened as the woman was trying to flee the flames early Saturday morning. As I mentioned, as it stands right now, there are more than 100 active fires in the province. 20,000 people from the Okanagan community of Summerland and Peachland and some of the surrounding areas are now out of their homes. This is the Bald Range fire. It helped trigger a state of emergency in BC, this province-wide state of emergency, on Saturday, as it quickly upended the lives of so many residents. That fire continues to burn out of control on the western shore of Okanagan Lake. Now, in declaring the provincial state of emergency on Saturday, Trudy, British Columbia, the government said property losses in this fire will be significant, though at this time the full extent is still being assessed. As I've mentioned, there are thousands, tens of thousands who have been forced from their homes, forced to flee because of the fire. There are also several thousand more right now who are on evacuation alert nearby these fire scenes, meaning they must be ready to go at a moment's notice, depending on where the fire might, one, flare up next, or if these fires continue to grow, Trudy.
Any idea what the forecast holds for the next few days? Any relief on that score?
Unfortunately, not a whole lot of relief. The weather continues to be a significant concern for BC wildfire crews throughout the entire summer. A lot has been said about the hot, dry conditions, and that has been a serious concern for months at this point. You couple that with lightning strikes. That has been a huge concern for several days and isn't going anywhere really anytime soon. It makes it incredibly difficult for crews to keep up. Maybe they get a handle on one fire or stop the spread in one direction, and then many other fires might flare up with these lightning strikes. The Bald Range fire, the one we spoke of, that is threatening the western shore of Okanagan Lake, impacting so many properties already, it only flared up late Friday evening and has already scorched more than 13,000 hectares. And the information officer for that district, the regional district of Okanagan-Similkameen, has said it was, in his opinion, one of the quickest moving, fastest growing wildfires in the area that he has seen. So higher temperatures, heightened wind gusts will continue in the Okanagan and southeast regions of BC, which can increase fires and really make this situation potentially going from an already terrible situation to even worse potentially, Trudy.
Can you give us a quick snapshot of the Okanagan Valley? Because I think, as a Montrealer, I always associate that with agriculture. Is it also a vacation spot? What is in that region?
The Okanagan Valley worldwide is known as quite a beautiful wine-making region. That is one of the reasons why it is famous, and one of the reasons why the Okanagan is also, yes, a very popular tourist destination in the summertime. There are lots of lakes and mountain scenery to make it a beautiful place to explore, and there are small towns, dotted Kelowna being one of the bigger ones, along Okanagan Lake, but there are many small towns, Peachland and Summerland, as I mentioned, Penticton, also a town that is being threatened by wildfires, Vernon as well, kind of all in that area. Those are some of the towns that people may know, but the Okanagan region, on top of the tens of thousands of people who live there and who have been impacted by these fires, the tens of thousands who have been forced to flee, there are also many resorts there and people who are traveling through the area, either from a lot of people from Alberta, a lot of people from British Columbia as well. So yes, there are a lot of people that live there, very agriculture. Wine is big. Other fruits being grown there is big part of the industry. It is very popular for many reasons as a tourist destination as well. So this is not only impacting so many people that live there, it of course is impacting summer travel plans for many people in Western Canada.
And nationally, is Ottawa, are we hearing anything out of Ottawa about any more of a plan, wildfire plan? I've heard calls for a national strategy on wildfires. Are we hearing anything?
There are constantly calls for a national wildfire strategy, and that was something that was brought up several weeks back when the premiers got together, I believe in Prince Edward Island, for the First Minister's meeting. That is something that comes up every year. In terms of specific support, the federal government has been out saying it has been offering support to provinces. It did offer support to Ontario as it dealt with many fires in northwestern Ontario, and continues to offer support where it is needed across the country.
Scott, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Trudy.
Scott Hurst, CTV National News correspondent. I'll be back in a sec.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back
2010s, the decade,
to the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
And more. All your decade-defining favorites all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.
My great thanks to Maxime Cadot, content producer of the Elias Macco Show. Also, Jay Farrar, technical producer and computer wrangler, because this morning Jay helped solve the problem with my computer in the newsroom. Thanks, Jay. We'll be leaning on you a lot now to help us solve our computer dilemmas. We appreciate the help. We have that yellow watch for possibly severe thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening. Of course, the newsroom will be keeping an eye on that. I do hope, despite that, you'll enjoy your afternoon.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back
2010s, the decade,
to the days days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
And more. All your decade-defining favorites all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.
You're listening to the voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.